So lymphedema, as you know, is often a swelling of the extremities, and it can be hands and feet. It can also be, more like forearms and legs, lower legs. And why cancer patients get lymphedema is actually a lot of the treatments actually cause a interfere with how your lymphatic system naturally wants to work. And the lymphatic system is similar to your circulatory system, only in that it is a bunch of vessels that go throughout your body. It isn't like circulatory system because there's no pump. There is not a pump that is continuously moving your lymph throughout your body. And the lymph carries all of your immune cells, and it carries both immune cells that help to fight things in the body, and it also helps to take care of after any kind of immune reaction. The most where they're the most concentrated are in the armpits and in the groin pits, along the throat, and kind of through the gut, kind of in the middle of the body through the gut. The only way to get your lymphatic system to work well is to move. So because of that, yoga is a fabulous, gentle practice, gentle exercise that will get that lymphatic motion to start to happen. So most of what we've been doing this last 3 weeks has been almost purely restorative practice. So we're going to do just a little bit more active practice today, still very gentle. And then we'll do some restoratives at the end. But a lot of movements this week are going to be sort of just repetitive, smooth moving to try to, again, to actually create that mechanical pumping for your lymphatic system. And because we really do want all of our immune cells to be able to go through the body and get into the areas where we really need them. So I'm going to show you a mudra to start out with, and I'll stay up close to the camera so you can see my hands. Mudras are hand gestures that help to kind of dial your own energy, dial your awareness inside, and make, usually create some sort of response. And today's mudra is going to be about trying to feel a breath response. So it's very simple. You make your index finger extend like this. This is like the easiest mudra that there is. You touch your thumb and your middle finger, ring finger, and pinky fingers together. Now, sometimes that is not comfortable. I have some arthritis in my thumb joint, and that doesn't feel great for me. So you can also kind of like hold the nails into the pad of the thumb if it requires less effort for you to do it that way. Okay, so both hands. And we're gonna take our hands and sit. If you need to sit up against something, please do. You can also sit on the edge of a blanket if that's easier, or sit in a chair like I am. But hands are gonna rest down on the lap to start out. Palms are up. And just extend out through that index finger. Close your eyes. Notice your breath. And start to imagine a direction of your breathing. So you can feel how when you inhale, the abdomen and the torso feel like they expand a little bit. There's an outward motion. And when you exhale, there's a releasing back toward the center, not a contraction, just a softening. So get into that sensation of kind of from the middle of your torso, expanding outward, and imagine that your breath expands not just to the front, not just to the sides, but kind of omnidirectionally in every direction. It goes forward, it goes front to back, it goes top to bottom. And I like to visualize, perhaps it has some sort of visual substance, a color. Maybe to you it looks like a balloon on the inside of your body, something where you can visualize it growing and expanding towards the periphery every single time that you breathe in. And the exhalation, imagine that that sort of energetic field starts to compress back to the center. Now, in the torso, it's pretty easy to feel that, right? You feel it already. You feel your lungs moving. You feel your rib cage moving. What we want to do is try to imagine that it expands throughout everything, the arms, the shoulders, the fingers. It expands up into the head. It expands down through the hips, down through the legs, down to the toes. This is where our imagination can come in really handy because we can't feel that happen. Can you visualize what we're trying to move here is our prana. Our prana is our life force. We're activating one of the 5 currents of energy that we have in our body that distribute this prana everywhere. And this one distributes it from the center to the edges, to the periphery, and back to the center again. So take a few more breaths like that. Expand. And imagine the exhale kind of coming back to center. Inhale and expand. And try 3 more times. When you finish your 3rd one, let your fingers separate and notice how you feel. Is there a sense of warmth? Do you feel a sense of that energetic expansion? Maybe you don't feel anything, and that's okay too. So the mudra that we did is called Anushasana, where you just let that index finger extend. And this current of energy, you can think about lymphedema as the lymph expanding into the extremities, but then not coming back toward the center, right? It kind of gets stuck in our extremities. And for many of us, it's in the lower extremities because of gravity. It's always pulling down on our, the liquid systems in our body towards our feet. So from that position then, let's shift ourselves so that we're lying down. Use a pillow if you need one. And give yourself just a little bit of space, like around where you're going to lay down. So a little bit of room above where your head goes. And I've got some blocks here. If you want to put maybe a pillow or a rolled up towel or something like that, I'm going to make a little spot behind where my head goes so that I can, if I took my arm up like this, it's going to land on something that's not all the way down to the floor. That's optional. You don't have to use that. It's just nice to not have to go quite so far. And then as you let your back settle onto the floor, just give your pelvis, give your lower back a few moments to relax. Is that feeling like when you come home from the grocery store and you like set the bags down? That's the feeling that we get when we lay down here. We just let our body start to release into the support of the floor. So let's start out with a little bit of a knee motion, leg motion. The starting position will be either this position with feet on the floor and legs bent, arms by the sides. We'll start to build it so that we can start to straighten a leg down. But to do that, let's first take a breath in. And as we breathe out, let's take our right knee to the chest. Now remember with this, if the belly doesn't like pressure, go a little to the side, don't come in all the way. But do move and flex into the hip as much as it is comfortable to do so. Then as you breathe in, put your foot back down, let your hands come to your side. As you breathe out, do the other side. So either bring it straight in or let it move out and in so you don't put pressure on your abdomen. Now, as I do this, each time I inhale and put my foot to the floor, I'm going to start to walk my foot further away from my hip. So exhale, draw it toward you. Inhale, put it down, maybe a little further away. Only moving one leg at a time. Work your way out to where your legs are going to be straight. Now, if that hurts your back, stay at a bent position that feels good. All right, find the leg position that's going to work for you, straight or slightly bent, and then let's keep going, but start to add the arms this time. So we exhale, knee comes in, inhale, release. This time, let's take both hands to the knee as it comes in. So move both arms, touch the shin or knee. Inhale, relax the arms a bit further out to the side. Keep going like you're marching slowly in place. Exhale, knee in. Let the arm go slightly higher toward the wall behind you. Bent elbow will always feel easier than a straight arm. So within the next 2 or 3 rounds, just work the arms either out, sort of elbow out from shoulder joint, or a little higher than that. You can start to bring your hands toward what's behind your head there if you put something back there. Now know that they don't have to go to the floor. They can sort of float if that works for you. You can just reach and float the arms. And feel the pumping action at the groin and at the armpit. One more time. As you connect the movement and the breathing together, it makes less room in your mind for worrisome thoughts to come in. We're trying to connect these different parts of ourselves. And then the last time that left leg goes to the floor, the arms where they ended up, let's sweep the arms down to the side. So go toward the ceiling and then down to the floor, and then relax the hands with the palms facing upward. Relax your legs for a moment. Let the feet and the knees turn outward and just check in with the pelvis, the low back. If that's comfortable, stay there. If it doesn't feel good, rebend the knees. The next movement is going to be a more circular motion with the legs. So actually for the starting position, let's all start from the same bent knee position. Let's do one leg at a time. Your arms are going to stay relaxed. So pick up the ball of the right foot so that the heel is still on the mat, and then lightly slide the leg straight. So I'm pressing like I'm kicking towards that wall. Then rotate your toe, your knee, your thigh outward, and drag the outside of the ankle by bending the knee and pulling the foot back to where it started. Rotate the leg and step on the foot. So you're making kind of a half of a circle with your leg. So it stays on the floor the whole time. Part of the foot does. So left ball of the foot lifts, push that leg long, slide the heel along the floor. Once it gets straight, turn it out. Keep it turned out as you drag the ankle back up toward the left hip. Rotate the knee back to center and your back to knees bent. Try that on the other side. So slide, turn out, drag the foot back and rotate to center. And again, left side, slide out, turn out and drag and back to center. Now you can do that the opposite direction as well. It uses different muscles. So starting from knees bent, right leg, this time rotate the thigh out first. You're not trying to force your knee all the way to the floor. Extend through the leg, and then at the last moment, rotate the leg to neutral. So toes and knees face the ceiling, and then lightly slide the foot under the hip, under the knee. And then the other leg, roll out, extend down, rotate it to center, and then drag the foot back under the knee. Do that a couple more times. Rotate out, extend, toes toward the ceiling, and then drag the heel. Rotate out, extend, toes toward the ceiling, drag the heel. Do one more with your own guidance. And just feeling how the thigh moves in the hip socket. When you finish the left leg, take your feet slightly wider and draw the knees toward each other and stop moving for a few moments and feel, kind of take stock of what all that did. What do you feel like afterwards? Do you feel more aware of maybe what's going on in your hips, your lower back? All right, let the feet be back under the knees like they started. I'm going to try another little pattern here. Let's straighten the left leg out all the way. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, let's do the first thing we did again. Bring your right knee to your chest. Hold with your right hand and relax your left arm out from your shoulder. Then wait for your breath in to bring the knee out to the side. Now I'm going to prop my elbow up on the floor and hold the outside of my leg. So I'm not letting it just drop down. I'm supporting it. And it's maybe at the max, it would be like a 45-degree angle. Then wait for an exhalation to pass the knee across. Let's do 3 times. First, just let the knee cross the midline. So you're creating pressure on the groin. Use your left hand to just be on the right knee. So bring your other hand to your knee and let the right arm stretch out from the shoulder. So notice, if you want to step your foot on top of your left thigh, that works as well. It kind of takes some of the pressure off the hip. And I'm going to let the knee just cross over until I feel a mild sensation in the outside of the thigh. Both buttocks are still on the ground. Then as you breathe in again, go back out to the right side. So right hand takes over. I'm going to take my foot off of my thigh, drop the elbow to the floor and support the knee from the outside. This time, let's go a little past what we just did. So bring the knee to the center. I'm going to take my left palm, touch the inside of my left knee. The right arm can relax outward. You might need to use your right elbow to push against the floor to let the right buttock lift off the ground. So we're starting to rotate to the pelvis. And I'm giving pressure, even pressure, knee to hand, hand to knee. The leg is still passing the midline here. And then bring the pelvis back to the floor. Right hand to the outside of the right knee. Left arm can come to the side. Allow that knee to go out one more time. Elbow to the floor. Relax the inside of your thigh. And last time, a little bit of a bigger movement this time. Bring it across the midline. Let the left hand come to the inside of the knee. And the boost, you might need your elbow to kind of push into the mat. That helps you lift the hip. And allow that knee to come across as much as feels good. Now, I prefer to take my right foot and prop it up on my other leg because otherwise it kind of hangs. Doesn't feel so great. Try not to pull down on your knee. Use the support on the inside of the knee. And then let's take the right arm and just stretch it out. I'm going to make like a snow angel motion from my side. I'm going to stretch it out on the mat. The elbow is at one point going to need to bend so it stays comfortable. That shoulder stays down. And then bring yourself back into the middle. Put your foot to the floor. Let the arms kind of come into a comfortable position and slide your right leg straight. Don't fix anything. I know you're feeling very asymmetric. Let yourself feel that. Rotate your feet to a relaxed outward position. And then think about what is it in your body that you need to make more symmetrical. And for me, I have to always like shift my hips just a little bit. So I'm going to bend the knee, readjust, and then come back into a still place and feel, what is it that tells you that you're not symmetrical? It's very interesting in our ability to know where we are in space. A lot of communication with our brain, our body position, and our nervous system. Okay, let's try all of that on the other leg. So if you can start out, turn your toes to face up toward the ceiling. So your legs are like you're standing on your legs. And take your left knee, bend it, put the foot to the mat, take an inhalation, And as you exhale your breath, pick up that foot and bring the knee to the chest. You're going to hold on with both hands. Right arm is going to swing out to the side. Left hand on the outside of the left knee. Drop that elbow to the floor and let the leg move out to the side. Can you support the knee so that the groin actually starts to relax, those inner thigh muscles? And then let's do our 3 across motions. So start, don't lift the hip. Pass the thigh to the center. Let the right hand take over. Left arm can go out. And I am going to pull, but very gently. I'm not going to roll my pelvis, but I'm just going to draw the knee slightly across the midline. My knee ends up between my belly and my right hip. Not really that far. But it's putting pressure on the groin, which is what we want. We want that little compression. Now, inhale's always the same. Knee out to the left, right arm can swing out. Exhale, start where you were, and then let the right hand come to the inner knee. This is where you might want to use your left elbow to push onto the floor just to give yourself a little boost. It helps you rotate your pelvis. But I'm going to press knee to hand, hand to knee here. So maybe a 45-degree angle with the leg, maybe less. And you can always prop up your foot if you prefer. Bring yourself back into the center, both buttocks down. Switch hands again. So even in the switching of the hands, we're getting that nice lymphatic massage in the armpit. Left arm to the elbow to the floor, left leg relaxing into the hand, and try to stretch out through that groin. Okay, one more time. Pass the knee across, let the right hand help. Maybe left elbow pushes against the mat to lift the left hip off the ground. And then I like to prop my foot up on my other thigh somewhere. Let the pelvis rotate. If it's comfortable, that left arm can start down on the sticky mat and then make that snow angel arm motion. Sweep it out to the side. Maybe bend that elbow, bring the hand a little higher towards your ear. Try not to pull your knee downward. Keep a little boost there under it. And then slowly come back to the center. Now, I just did what I asked you guys not to do. Don't correct your asymmetry. Feel it first. Let the foot come down. Let your leg go down and feel your asymmetry. Think about what do you want to change? And then go ahead and make that change. It's a very natural desire to try to be in symmetry. Okay, one more little pattern with the hamstring stretch this time. So let's take both feet out in front of us here, and we'll bring the right knee to the chest again. But this time, clasp both of your hands behind your thigh. So you're making a cradle for the thigh to rest in. Now I'm going to try to extend my arms. So my knee is over my hip. It's not any closer. And then flex your ankle. You can do both if you like. Let the right heel lift up toward the ceiling. Now this is a big stretch on the back of the body, so you might feel other parts of your body reacting to this. Stop before it becomes uncomfortable. And then release the foot. Keep the hold on your leg. And we're just going to go up and down with the shin. So flex your ankle, reach up. The knee probably will not be straight. And then relax your foot and let the knee bend, let the foot fall back down. And flex the ankle and push toward the ceiling. Relax the ankle, bend the knee. Do a couple more. Now you can feel your hamstring muscles moving where your hands are. And hopefully each time you do this, it gets a little easier. Now, last time, go up, find the perfect height of your foot so that your neck doesn't feel like it's being pulled. There's a little bit of a hamstring stretch, maybe also feeling something in your calf. Your shoulders are still on the ground. While your foot is up there, can you wiggle the toes? Rebend the knee and release the hands from the back of the thigh. Just drop your foot back to the ground. Let's do that little circular motion to go back straight. So can you relax your knee out to the right side? Drag the ankle toward the end of the mat and rotate the leg to where its both toes and knees are going to face the ceiling. And then before you change sides, just let the legs roll out. Let them go. Notice if the right side feels any different. It might be heavier. It might roll out more. It just might feel different, but we don't know exactly how different. Okay, orient the legs like you're standing on your feet and drag your left knee to bend. Drag the foot. Okay, take another breath in and then pick up that left thigh, hold behind your thigh. So I think I mentioned this last week with this motion. If you're flexible, I would say hold mid-thigh to closer to the knee part of the thigh. If you're not feeling particularly flexible today, I would say hold mid-thigh toward the top of the back of the thigh. The higher up you go on your leg, the more room you're going to have to get your leg away from your belly. Now, for me, this bugs my forearm and wrist, so I've got to kind of find a way to hold it where it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, bend the knee, relax the foot. Flex the ankle, kick up toward the ceiling. Good, and then relax the foot and let it come back down. Flex and lift, and relax and bend. Feel the muscles moving, keep going. Hopefully each time you go up, you're getting a straighter knee with less discomfort. So we want to do about 6, 7 of these. Maybe 2 more. Good, and then go ahead and lift up that foot and let's stay here. The knee does not have to be completely straight, but can you push your right leg down a little firmer? Twinkle those toes. Allow the knee to bend again. Let go and just drop the foot straight to the floor. And let's do our circle. Relax the thigh outward. Roll on the outer edge of your foot. Straighten the leg and then rotate it so that both sets of toes face up. Once you get that sort of landing position, then let both legs roll out, and you can again notice the left hip, the left buttock, and groin. Does it feel different or the same as the other side? I almost feel like that side is like in the floor. It feels heavier because we've worked those muscles a bit. Okay, bend your knees. And let's roll over to one side. Now come to the side, prop your head up with your arm or your pillow, and just pause. Pause for a second here before you get up. Let your blood pressure catch up. When you feel like you are ready to sit, it might help to extend the top leg. That creates a little bit of a counterbalance, and push with the top hand so that you come up. The body doesn't feel too heavy as you come up. Okay. Next thing, and we've not done this before, this is an excellent lymphatic mover, and it's really good to do in the morning. So if you can remember to do this as soon as you wake up, it can be kind of amazing. However, there's always a however. If your knees are not very bendable, I'm going to give you some ways to do this where it's more comfortable, okay? So the first thing would be to have some kind of landing pad, and I've just got a blanket folded. It's about folded over in half twice, and I'm going to lay that across the mat. Here's where your cushion from your sofa might come in handy. I've got a bolster that I'm going to use, but you can use whatever pillow you've got close by. So I'll go through this in a couple of stages. If you can't do this at all, I'll give you something else to do. But for those of you that can kneel like this, let's see where we end up with our bend of the knee. So the position that we're going to try to get into is first we're up, and then we come down into kind of a child's pose position. Now I know everybody's knees are different, and I've had surgery on one of my knees as well. So I invite you to come into a crouch, which would be hands under shoulders, bend the elbows towards the knees and come like halfway down. If you can go further than that, great, go further than that. If the knees are like, yeah, no, that's not gonna work for me, put your pillow behind your thigh so that it stops you. It acts like a doorstop. So when your hips go back, you land on your blanket or your pillow, and then you can just slowly bring yourself down. Now notice I'm not trying to like put my face on the floor. That's too far for me. So the movement then from the lower position would be press into the floor with your shins, bring your pelvis over your knees, lift your heart, and let the hands come and touch together, thumbs on the breastbone. Then as you breathe out, you sit back, use your belly here, put your hands on the floor, and then gently just come as forward as far as you like. Your head can be higher than your hips, or it can be more level with your hips. It's your choice. Then as you breathe in, you're gonna press up and bring your hips forward and bring your hands to your heart. As you breathe out, sit back, catch the floor, and then lean forward just a little bit. So you're putting pressure on the groin, and then you're extending through the groin. Now you can add things to this if you want your arms to be a little bit more involved. In this position, you can take your hands out into a cactus. So hands by the ears, elbows out to the side. So you're opening, and then you're closing the armpit as your fingertips come to the floor and you sit back. Now, if you're like, this is not gonna work at all for me, if it's working for you, do like 5 more. If you're not liking it, I'm gonna show you a different way to do this. So you would go back to the floor on your back, and then you take an inhalation and you pick your hips up a little bit. Then you exhale, bring your pelvis down, and then bring the knees into the chest. And again, they can be wide knees or they can be narrow knees, your choice. Now, I like to land one foot and then the other foot. And then I breathe in, press the hands down and lift the hips. Breathe out, pelvis lands. I'm gonna use the opposite side. So let the right knee come in first, left knee come in second, give a little squeeze. Same side to release, right foot comes down first, left foot comes down second. Inhale and lift. Exhale, land, and then I'm gonna reverse it. Left foot comes in first, right leg comes in second. Does that make sense? So you're not doing the same side each time. So wherever you ended up, do about 5 to 6 total of those. And when you're finished, either just come to the back with the knees bent like that, or if you can tolerate it, if your legs will tolerate it, you can just kind of come into that forward crouching position. And just notice what it feels like after you stop it. No rush, take your time. Make sure you're breathing. And when you're finished with all of those, we're going to stand up. So it is, when we've got stuff like neuropathy or lymphedema going on, sometimes it's hard to like orient what our feet are doing. So if you have blocks, come to a hands and knees position. If you're on your back, roll over and come up. To put your blocks on the high height. If you have a chair, you can kind of crawl to the chair and use the chair to hold on to. But bring one foot forward, take the other toe under, and then just very slowly push yourself up, step forward, and press gently up to standing. So coming up and down from the floor is still part of our yoga practice. Now, so that I don't have to bend over, I'm gonna just kick my little blanket out of the way here. And stand up and just kind of like you're walking in place. You're gonna let your hips sway a little bit from side to side and just check out, how did all of that hip groin work affect how you feel? And then when you're kind of wiggled it out, we call this mountain position. Just stand in mountain position and feel your feet against the floor. Try to feel the skin on the soles of the feet. That's why we like to practice barefoot. If that's a possibility for you, barefooted is better. So you can articulate the joints in the feet more. Let your weight shift, and your hands might be up on the hips, or they can just hang by the sides. Shift your weight into your right leg. So I'm pushing with my left foot and I'm going to bring my center line over my right side and pick up the left heel. And just feel the arch of the foot stretch. Put the heel down, do the other side. Just shift your weight. Try not to send your hip out to the side. And pick up the other heel. Okay, come back down to center. Take a slightly wider step out. So now my feet are about as wide as my actual shoulders, wider than the hips. And do the same thing one more time. Shift your weight to the right. You're not going to let your hips swing out. And pick up the heel, the left heel. Notice how the outside of the leg has to do some work there. And then bring your heel down, shift to the right, and pick up the other heel. Okay, both feet down. From this position, we're going to play around with a balance, with tree pose. And this is sort of the classic yoga balancing position. I'm going to show you some really great ways that you can stay steady in the position and not feel like you're going to fall over. So one option is to use the wall. You can stand beside the wall, or if you have a chair, like the back of a chair, you could hold on to the back of a chair. And I think I'm going to get a chair just so I don't have to move the camera. So my theory with tree and all balancing in yoga is that we should always strive to do a version of the pose that we feel steady in. We don't get a lot of benefit from the poses if we're doing a version of the pose where we are wobbling and feeling really unstable. So, because for some of us it's really challenging to stand on one foot, you can use a block in between your feet. If you have a block, if you don't have a block, we'll just use the floor, but the block gives you a more clear kind of feeling of tree. And I'm going to put the block on the low height so it's really flat right between my ankles. And I'm going to lean to my right. So all that thing you just did, right? We leaned our weight, we picked up our heel, do that again. Now bring the foot, the left foot up on top of the block and turn the knee out and touch the heel up against wherever it ends up against the inside of that calf. Now I'm going to try to stand pretty straight. I'm not going to let my hips swing out to the side. It really wants to, but I'm resisting that urge. I'm going to zip up the belly like I'm zipping up a pair of jeans. So lift up through your abdomen. Let the arm that's free, that you're not holding onto the wall with or the chair, let that arm just swing out to the side. So think about how a tightrope walker would stand. And you can bend your elbow if you like, or you can more have a straighter arm, your choice. Try to get tall through the crown of the head. Turn that palm to face the ceiling. Bend the elbow, and then as much as you like, reach the hand just over the center of the top of the head. So make it like a soft, more like a ballet shape arm, not like a rigid locked elbow. So just a soft arm. If you're feeling steady, maybe just put a finger on the chair or on the wall. Listen to your standing leg. When it starts to get tired, make sure you're stable, hold your support, and start to take this foot. Make sure you step to the outside of the block, let the arm come down, share the weight on both of your legs. We're gonna do one more thing from this position. So if you're standing at a wall, make sure the wall is to your side, not behind you or in front of you. Take the leg that you just balanced on, which for me was my right side, and I'm going to take a step. I've got my chair. I'm going to take a step back. Not a huge step, a little bigger than a regular step. My heel is going to be off the floor. All 10 of my toes face the same direction, and I'm going to press the heel down and bend the front knee. So this is a nice ankle stretch. All right. Straighten the front leg, push the back heel toward the floor. Remember that little arm motion we did? We're going to do that again. At the same time that you bend your front knee, take a breath in and swing the arm out and up and out and down. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Do that again, but we're going to go forward and up this time. Bend your elbow just a little bit. As you inhale, bend your left knee. Inhale, reach the hand forward and up. and exhale, come down. Let's do that one more time. So we bend the knee, we reach the arm, and we release, exhale, and bring the arm down. Now you've got a block here, so please be very careful when you step up again. Push the back heel up, bring the weight into your front foot, and look down and go ahead and step on the other side of the block again. Now, if you're at your wall, I'm just gonna ask you to turn around so that you're facing the other side of your body is against the wall. Or if you're using a chair, you can also just turn yourself around. You don't have to move your chair. I'm just moving mine so I don't turn my back on the camera and on you guys. Okay, so I'm comfortably away from the chair. Got that block still between my ankles. Now, if you don't happen to have a block, you're just gonna prop your ankle up on the floor. Your heel up on your ankle. You can also be a little bit off the floor if you want to, but it's not necessary. Okay, so shift your weight toward the wall or towards your chair. That's my left side. I'm gonna pick up my right heel and hold on while I step the foot on the block, and I'm gonna prop my heel up against my other leg. Now, we all have sides that probably are stronger. When you get on the side that you're standing where you have maybe an old injury or a weakness of some kind, you know it right away. So this is my weak side. I hurt myself about a year ago on that hip. So I'm gonna try really hard not to fall into gravity, which makes it go out. I'm gonna draw the leg in. It's almost like I'm trying to squeeze my leg in toward the middle. And then sweep that opposite arm out from the shoulder. So start out. That helps us kind of bring weight a little bit to the inside edge of the foot, so we're not putting so much weight on the outside edge of that standing foot. And then flip your palm, bend your elbow, and just float your hand toward the crown of the head. Even touching the crown of the head is interesting because you can press your crown up against your hand. And take another couple of breaths. After you've lifted your crown, you might float your hand off the top. If that doesn't feel good, come back down with your arm. Decide when that leg, ankle, hip, whatever is saying that's long enough. Oh wait, we didn't do the finger. If you want to do one little finger on the chair, you can try it. But still listen when it's telling you it's time. Arm down, carefully look down and step to the outside of your block. Now, because we're done with the block, you can just push it forward so you don't trip over it. Both feet to the floor. The leg that you were just standing your weight on, so the inside leg, I'm gonna bring my feet a little bit closer together and then take a step backwards with that foot. Not a huge step, maybe twice as big as a regular step. Now, if I straighten my front leg, my back heel actually can touch the floor, and notice that there's space between my feet. I'm not standing like on a tightrope, right? Got a little bit of a width-wise space. So as you breathe in, I'm gonna hold my chair, I'm lifting up the front body. I'm gonna bend the front knee. Back heel probably comes slightly off the ground. And first flip the arm back out to the side. And then down. And then we'll go up. So when you're ready, bend the knee, float forward and up. Feel free to stop wherever you want to. The hand can be at the heart, it could be at the head, or it could reach up. Soft arm. Arm down and put the weight in the back leg. And one more time, bend the knee and reach the hand up and keep your shoulder relaxed. And then releasing again. Okay, tip a soft front knee, tip your torso slightly forward and then step up. Share the weight again with both of your feet, come more to a body's hips distance space. But when we say hips distance space, we mean hip joint distance, not hip flesh distance. So it's narrower than you think. And that's really where if you can get your heels right under your hip sockets, that's where you're the most stable. Close your eyes. Notice how you almost immediately start to sway. Notice if you naturally take more weight into one of your feet. And also notice, do you feel like you are pushing your pelvis forward at all? A lot of times when we get into tight legs, the pelvis just goes forward a little bit. So if you can imagine, I'm going to stand to the side so you can see a little bit better. So pelvis forward is kind of like that position, very common when we have tight legs. So pretend like you have a little helium balloon attached to your tailbone, and you're gonna, don't lock the knees, but try to extend the knees and just a tiniest lift of the tailbone. Now, the tailbone balloon is connected to a heart balloon, and as the tailbone lifts, the heart also tends to lift up. So you might have a lift at the chest and a lift at the tailbone, but your belly is still pulling in. And we're gonna bring our hands up to our hearts. Did that shift your weight towards your heels a little bit more? Probably. Okay, take both of the hands, clasp them together and bring them on top of your head. Rest them there. Push the head into the hands. And then as much as you like, just squeeze the elbows more forward than out. One at a time, take one arm up over your head. You're gonna reach kind of in a V with your hand. So just stretch it out to the side. Good, and then bring that one back and take the other one and do the same thing. Just stretch, use your elbow here, extend it, reach out, and then come back. Good, and then let's just kind of melt the arms back down to the sides. Okay, one more movement here and then we'll get to the floor. I want us to do a forward bend. I'm gonna show you a couple different ways to do this. First way would be to hold the back, turn toward the back of the chair and just kind of bend over it and bend your knees and come into this kind of a crouching position. Or not really crouching, just that, it's like a really low chair, like you're getting ready to sit down behind you. If your back is tired or your hips or knees don't like that, you could actually sit in your chair, or you could sit up against a wall, or you could sit up on the coffee table. So if you want to actually sit, you certainly can. Now we're going to keep our knees bent no matter what position we ended up in. And I'm just going to lean forward a little bit, not like trying to lay down on my legs, but my belly touches my thighs. I'm going to have my head neutral. What I'm looking for here is a little bit of a stretch on the lower back and a little bit on the hamstrings. Take another breath. And then lift yourself back up to standing or bring yourself back up to a seated position. All right, so let's get back to the floor, but remember, we're still in our yoga practice, so do this with some method here. If you've got your chair, if you've been enjoying laying with your legs up on the seat, that would be a good thing to do now. You can orient yourself so that the chair faces where you're gonna lay down, or the coffee table is beside where you wanna lay down. I like to have something soft on the seat because this is a cold metal chair. So I've got a blanket here, if it will cooperate. I'm gonna make just this sort of fold it in half twice and then take one end and I'm gonna fold it under like that. So it's got just a little bit of a roll happening at the one side. And I'm gonna lay the roll toward the back of the chair and have the excess hanging off the front of the chair so that gives me a little prop for my heels to be on. And then carefully come back down through your lunge, just take one knee down. And go ahead and lay back. If you want a pillow here, that would be fine. I'm going to show you one other thing to do with this position. So if you happen to have a small pillow or another blanket or a beach towel, blocks are a little high for this. You can use them, they're just a little bit too much, so not optimal. And I still have it folded. It's folded in half a couple times here, so it's making this kind of a rectangular shape. Put the feet up on the edge of the chair. Make sure you're close enough to the chair so that when your foot is on the floor, your shin is almost touching the chair. You want to be pretty close. And then just carefully lift the pelvis, kind of tuck your tailbone up and bring that little bit of blanket under your pelvis. So pull it up to your waistband, and then some of it should hang off behind the back of the buttock there. And then take your legs onto the chair, calves on the seat, back of the knees pretty much right at the edge of the seat. That's going to give you the best support. So why do you want to lift your hips up off the floor like that? I mean, you're not lifting actively, but you're having something under them. Well, it enhances the inversion with this position. So especially for those that are having some edema in the feet, this, I would say, if you could do this every single day, There's no harm in it. It would actually be really amazing to do this every day. But your feet have got to be the tallest point. And what we're trying to do is create a little bit of an incline. So feet are higher than knees. Knees are higher than the pelvis because of the blanket. And the pelvis is actually higher than the heart. If you get into this position, however, and it doesn't feel right, take the blanket out from under your hips. There's still amazing benefit from just having the legs elevated. So the hands could rest on the belly if you like, or they could be out to the sides. Check in with all these different parts of your body. Notice, can you let go anywhere? So I always feel like I'm trying to keep my knees parallel. Don't need to do that. The chair's got me. I'm going to let my legs rock out just a little wider with my knees. And then my upper thigh can relax more. If you want to re-establish the mudra for just a few breaths, you certainly can. Thumb pad to the nails or the tips of the other fingers except for your index. Index finger is extended. Palms face the ceiling. And you're resting the knuckles on the ground. Remember your visualization from earlier where you expanded your current of energy outward on the inhalation and toward the center on the exhalation. Remember that this is us trying to distribute our prana, our life force. Life force is needed for our health. We get our life force from breathing, from sunlight, and from food. And our body transforms all those raw materials into this amazing, subtle energy. As you continue to feel that inhale, expand sensation, begin to imagine that your personal energy field doesn't stop at your skin. It actually goes past your skin, kind of like your aura. So as you breathe in, expand that prana outward, a little bit even further out from the skin. But when you exhale, don't imagine that it comes back toward the center. Let it stay expanded. So it's a little pulsation when you inhale towards the edges and the exhale, just a tiniest little release. We're not going to let it come all the way back into the center. We want to maintain that expanded field. Now at any time you can let the fingers relax if that's needed. But keep that breath going for about 5 more rounds. And as you release the breath back to its normal everyday pacing, what do you feel like now? Is there any part of your body that you feel like you're holding? Can you trust that the floor has you? That you can totally let your legs, your hips, your belly, your face, let them all relax. Now, since you are at home, you certainly could stay here for as long as you like. And in fact, we were here about 10 minutes. 15 is my sweet spot for this pose. If you can stay 5 more minutes, that gives you the most sort of integration. But even 5 minutes is good. If you do need to get up, let's start to wiggle fingers and toes first. Just start that periphery moving. Notice how your feet feel. Do they feel tingly at all from having the legs up? Bring your feet to the front edge of the chair. If you have the flat blanket under your back and you feel like you can roll off of it, you don't need to move it. If you've got a block or something big, you might want to get that out of the way first. And then carefully with the hips on the floor or on your prop, roll to the side, support your head. Just give yourself a breath or two on the side before reaching out that top leg and pressing the top hand into the floor and slowly coming back up to a seated position. And as you come up to seated, just give yourself a second to sit up and take stock, check in with all of your awareness of your body. Let's bring the hands to the heart. And can you say to yourself your intention that we've been working with? If you don't know what I'm talking about, intention is basically a phrase that we use to, it's like a wish for transformation. It usually is an I am statement or a my statement. It's present tense and it's positively and very definitively stated. So say your intention or come up with one and mentally repeat it 3 times. Very good. Thank you. Namaste.